Welcome to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, where you can hear your favorite performers talk about how they got started, their careers, and everything in between. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify at Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, and on my main Broadway account at Broadway_Corner on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy.
Enjoy your flight. Enjoy your flight.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha. I am so happy you are here. And today we're talking to a star of SpeakEasy Stage's production of Ain't No Mo. They play the fabulous Peaches. It is Evey! Hi. So excited. We're in a rehearsal studio here at the Calderwood Pavilion. Beautiful. And so excited to just talk to you about everything. What a journey. And so I'll do a little bio first. So Grant Evan, in parentheses Evey, is returning to SpeakEasy Stage and the Porch, having appeared in last season's co-production of A Strange Loop, which I saw. They most recently appeared in the Wiz and Off-Broadway and Little Shop of Horrors. Other credits include Five Guys Named Moe, The Baker's Wife, Scout, Songs for a New World, Lilies, and the revival of a romantic drama. So a lot of credits.
A lot of credits. I did a lot of things.
A long career. And spoiler warning, just in case you haven't seen Ain't No Mo yet, we're going to be talking about everything. So you've been warned. If you haven't seen it, you have a week left.
Yeah.
But hi, Evey.
Hi.
It's so good
Ashley.
to see you.
I'm so happy. This is the, can I say this? I'm going to say it. This is the one interview that I actually insisted happen. Did they tell you? I was like,
Jim told me, and I think I missed that part of the interview. But then I saw you, and I was like, oh, we're going to talk about this without even knowing that prior information.
Yes, I was like, I wanted to sit down with Ashley, please. And he was like, what? And I was like, that's the one interview I have to do. I don't care. I was like, I'll do the other ones, and I'm happy to do the other ones. But I was like, this is the one I wanted most.
Yeah.
So like,
and that means so much to me. When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is so special. And we haven't had much time to like chat at all. I've just like, met you mostly in passing and just like through social media and stuff like that. But you know, so exciting. How's your 2025 going so far?
Terrible. Have you seen the news?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's
but otherwise.
No, it's going great. It's going as good as it can, right? And I mean, like, we're doing this show, and it was important when Jordan wrote it. Jordan Cooper, the playwright, wrote it. It's more important now by accident. By accident, we thought we'd live in a post-Trump world and learn the lessons of whatever that was supposed to teach us. And it seems like we didn't. So
not quite.
Not quite. So we're learning now.
Yeah.
We're learning now. A hard head makes a soft behind. So yeah, that's where we're at. So that's what my 25 has been, is this show, watching the news, and preparing for whatever the future brings us.
Yeah, and I think that's all we can do at this point, and just, you know, having the show as a hope kind of thing, a figure in your life, in everyone's life, has been such a blessing. But before we get to all of that, let's talk about just you. So like, let's talk about your background, like maybe where you grew up, like how you discovered theater, and just like, how did Evey become Evey?
Well, a couple of things. I was born in LA, and my family actually, my grandparents had a home in Altadena, Pasadena, and we just lost that house in the Altadena fires that happened a couple weeks back at the top of 2025. But I grew up in that house. I spent much of my childhood summers in that home, and that really influenced a lot of my outlook and positive, hopefully, outlook on life, is the sunshine and the stars and celebrities that you meet as you walk through LA. And they're all...
LA. I'm from California too.
What part?
So I'm from Bakersfield.
Oh my God!
But my grandparents live in Hacienda Heights.
So you know. So you know.
Yes,
Yeah. Yes.
LA, we love you.
LA, we love you. Tribute to LA. But I went to high school in the DMV area, in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and that's where my love for the arts really grew. I had done like childhood plays, and of course, I was like, I like acting. Acting is fun. But I actually studied opera in high school. I thought I was going to be an opera singer. And in my senior year, my voice teacher said, "Yeah, no, you're okay. And he was like, you're okay. You're all right. And he was just being honest, and he was like, you know, you could pursue it for years. You'll study for like 8 more years, and you'll get as good as you can be. And you'll probably be a chorister or an ensemble member. You'll never really probably be a principal at anyone's opera company. You're just too particular. You're too niche. And opera is a very conservative still art form.
Yeah.
And only now, in like the last post-pandemic years, has opera even begun the idea of modernizing some of those pieces that people love. So anyway, he was like, so what we can do is either you could stop and pursue something else, or we could turn your face towards musical theater. And I thought, well, I don't want to give up performing, so I might as well try musical theater. And I fell in love with musical theater right away. It did not love me back right away, mostly because I was weird. I'm weird and artsy. And
aren't we all?
And aren't we all? Yeah, and I'm a theater kid at heart, which means, yeah, strange. That didn't translate super well into what casting even knew what to do with me.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, as I had basically abandoned any hope of really performing professionally, in 2020, I quit my job in corporate. Oh, excuse me, I should clarify. In January of 2020, I quit my job in corporate, and I was like, I'm going to do an audition season in New York City, and if it works out for me, I'll know that this is the right thing to do. If I book one equity contract, I'll know that I'm in the right place. And I was living on my savings at the top of 2020. And I booked an equity contract. Oh my God, I booked Sister Act at the Ingeman Theater as TJ. And I was super excited. I beat out all of the equity boys, my little non-equity body. And I was oh, it's gonna be so good. And we were on our way into tech rehearsal, and it was March 13th. And they said, hey, rehearsal's not gonna happen today. We're gonna send everybody home. There's this thing happening, and everyone's getting sick. So just in case, we're gonna send you all home for the next like couple of days, and then we'll pick up rehearsal. So now that we're in the future, I can tell you, we did not pick rehearsal back up. Everyone stayed home. The production was canceled, and what turned into a, gee, I hope that I can make this career work, then turned into a, oh, I have no job, no contract, and now we're stuck in the house.
Yeah.
And through a series of like luck and adventure, obviously the pandemic happened, and all ended up kind of adjusting itself, and obviously I survived, and it all worked out. But at the end of it, I decided, and I took that moment to decide that this is what I wanted. This is what I want with my life. I don't want to spend my life, I don't want to waste another moment not performing. And like, that's really important for a performer. And most performers on a professional level, and for anybody who's like watching this, if anybody will care to watch it like me, if you're an actor, like, you need that, right? Like, you need that thing that you need that thing that says, this is what I want. This is what I want more than anything else. And for some people, if they're lucky, they never try anything else, and everything works out for them perfectly. And that's great. And that's none of us. That's none of us, unless you're Patti LuPone.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us, hopefully you get a chance to do something else for a couple of years, and you go, no, this is what I'm meant to do. So even with all of the setback that was, and how hard that was to have lost my financially cushy job through my own fault, it was freeing to know that, like, this is the choice that I would choose no matter what my life circumstances were. And so then I got very fortunate, and when the pandemic moved into the phase where we were allowed to act again and with masks on, the first off-Broadway play that happened was, the revival of the romantic drama. And I booked it. It was a miracle. It was a fucking can I curse? Can
Yeah.
I curse? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a miracle. It was a fucking miracle. And like, this is how crazy that time was. That audition happened in a room at Ripley Greer with all of us in it. Everyone had to audition in front of each other because no one was allowed to wait in the hall. Because that is how early post-pandemic it was, that like people weren't allowed to wait in the hallway for fear of passing infection.
Oh my goodness.
So literally, if you could imagine 30 people in an audition room sitting on the floor watching you audition for the same role as them, and then you seeing the role happen 30 different times from the other people, and then also we're all getting eliminated throughout the day as a normal audition would, and like you know whether or not you booked the job based on who gets to stay.
That's scary.
An insane thing. So literally, so I'm sitting there throughout the day, and I booked it, and like I it was like me and two other people, and we were like holding each other's hands like beauty pageant contestants, and going, I think it's gonna be you, I think it's gonna be you, and then I got cut, and it was just the one person left, and my friend Devin, who I love, and I thought, oh, that's sad. I thought I was gonna get that, and I got a call the next day, and the director said, you know, you didn't book that because I actually want you to do this other part. Oh. So I cut you because I didn't need you to do that anymore. And I, once again, a string of luck. My life has been a string of luck and good fortune, and I'm grateful. And so yeah, that was it. I think that answered the question that I just meandered through. Yeah. But yes. Yeah. Yes, that is in my career. It's been a string of luck and fortune and good grace. And then I landed here and got to do a strange loop.
Yes.
Which, anyway, so yes.
What a show.
Yeah.
Like a strange loop.
Isn't it a great show?
I remember, because I saw that on Broadway.
Yes.
I didn't see Ain't No Mo on Broadway, but I did see A Strange Loop on Broadway.
I saw A Strange Loop on Broadway.
And like, loved it. And I knew the music from before I saw it as well. But just wow. And then I remember, because we all had to write a review on it. For my class.
God, yes.
They were like, this is your final. You're going to go watch A Strange Loop and write a review.
What's that review like? That's the question.
I mean, I posted it.
Yes.
It's up there.
I'll read it. Yeah.
But I remember talking to people about it. Like, and even now, like talking to other people who've come to see this show, they're all like, we all wrote about you. Like, we all did. We truly all did. Like, we loved you in A Strange Loop so much. And like, now to see you in a new role that is so fierce.
I know.
It's so much fun.
Do we have time to talk about Strange Loop? Can I tell you about that?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Okay. This is another, for any actor who watches this, please feel validated. Please feel validated in your craft. But, so, A Strange Loop. I saw A Strange Loop when it was at Playwrights Horizon Off-Broadway. And then I saw it pretty much very early into the Broadway run. And I auditioned for the Broadway run. I sent a cold tape when they were first coming, and I knew at the time that the original cast who had done Playwrights Horizon, the cast who did the DC run, was also going to be the cast who was doing it on Broadway. So I knew I wasn't going to take one of their jobs. That's not at all what that was. But I just wanted to be an understudy. Yeah. I was like, please, let me be one of the understudies. I know I can do this. And so I auditioned, and I got a call back. They called me back like twice to understudy Usher.
Oh.
And if you understand what that translates into, if you have seen A Strange Loop, you'll know there's no world where I am an Usher. I'm not.
Yeah, it's not quite.
It's not right.
Fit.
It's not a fit. It's not a fit. There's no world where I'm Usher. It's like calling me in to play, I don't know, somebody in the Music Man. Any character in the Music Man is also the wrong role for me, but whatever. The point is, I belt her as a legit soprano. Haha, there's a joke there. But it's they kept calling me back, and then they didn't, because obviously I was wrong for the part. And I was really sad, and I was heartbroken, and it was the first time I ever crawled under the bed and just bawled when they announced who would be understudying those tracks. And I was sad, and I was really hurt, and of course the New York theater scene is so small that I was friends with like 2 of those people. So like, of course, like you're happy for your friend, you're celebrating your friend, and at the same time, I'm like devastated because I really wanted it really, really bad. And then I saw the audition for this version of it, this regional premiere of it, and it's in Boston. And I was like, Boston has a great theater scene. They don't need me. And they had, it was weird. This track, Thought One was like the final role cast. Like it was, they had cast everyone. They'd already cast Usher. They'd already cast pretty much all the other Thoughts. They just were having trouble figuring out who they wanted to be Thought One. So I submitted the tape cold, just out of nowhere, and went, hey, if anyone watches this, I would love to play Thought One. And I got a call back. And like, I did the callback on tape, sent it off into the void, and nothing for like 3 weeks, which is a long time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of nothing. And they said, hey, have you put something else on tape? Like, and I was like, oh, okay. And then nothing for like a month. Nothing for like a month.
Oh my gosh.
And I was, of course, like, oh, I lost it. I didn't get it. And I was sad again and whatever. And then one day, like out of the blue, I got a phone call from the director. And he went, would you like to come be Thought One? And Maurice and I know each other a lot better now, but then I had to mute the phone while I screamed and cried and jumped up and down like a banshee. It was a dream, and playing that part was a dream. I love every one of those people. The group chat is still very lively. We talk all the time. I love that show. Was really special, and it's such a special show, and like had a great life in Boston, and Boston treated us amazing. So yes, love A Strange Loop.
No, what a beautiful show that is also so powerful in recent Broadway history. With representation and just making change. But shifting now to Ain't No Mo. Okay, what was the audition process for that? Now that you've already worked with them.
Yes. So Ain't No Mo is interesting, and I'm going to tell this story, and I might get in trouble later. I might get in trouble later for telling certain parts, but I'll be okay. No one's going to spank me. I'll be all right. So when we were still doing A Strange Loop, Don Simmons, who is our director for Ain't No Mo, and who is one of the lead producers, executive producer, and co-founders of Front Porch, who was the producer for A Strange Loop, approached me and said, hey, would you be interested in auditioning for Ain't No Mo? And I said, yeah, I would love to. Please give me a chance to. And she was like, okay, well, we'll see. So I emailed her as follow-up, because follow-up people. Yeah. So I followed up and was like, hey, just so you know, I'm very serious. I would love to audition for Ain't No Mo. And she said, okay, I'll let you know when auditions are happening. And I thought, it's not going to be me. It's not me. There's so many other people. Once again, Boston has an amazing theater scene. Delon Grant is Broadway's Delon.
Yes.
and like, he'll never say that, and he will never say it, but he literally originated a role in Come From Away, which is a huge part of our modern musical theater landscape, that you still audition to play the part that he created. And like, I don't know that people like always like think about that. Yeah. That like, yeah, I share space with a person who like influenced a part of the canon. That's like huge. That's huge. That's a gift. But like, Delon was here, and Kai, who played our Usher and who I love and who is my like family. I was like, Kai's auditioning for Peaches for sure. My friend Marshall, who did Fat Ham. Yes, love Marshall. Yes. Love Marshall. Marshall was in for Peaches. I was like, oh, girl, forget it. It's not gonna happen. No one's thinking about you. And so then Don was like, let's put something on tape for me. And if you have not seen Ain't No Mo yet, you need to run and go see it. But once again, spoilers. The things I put on tape was the first half of my second monologue, which is the one where I'm introducing and welcoming everyone to the plane. Mm-hmm. And like, it's funny, and she's so funny, and she's so sharp, and Peaches is so like fast. And like she's fast and like she's not professional at all, but somehow like authoritative in a way that you get why they would want this woman to do this. Why she got the job. They're like people would listen to her. So we did that. Great, loved it. And then we did the back half of my last monologue, which is mostly a series of panic, distress, and like horror, because Peaches has been left and abandoned by the 3 million people who she's spent all day scanning in and who are on the plane, and her family, her tribe leaves her behind, and she's sad and hurt and wounded. And then also Miss Bag, who has been with her throughout the journey, is taken away. Maybe she left on her own. Miss Bag betrays her by accident or on purpose and also disappears. And I had that context because I'd seen it on Broadway.
Yeah.
I saw it twice on Broadway. And like, so I had context for it, but being inside of it is such a like different beast. And to do that cold on a self tape.
Yeah, with nothing leading into it. With nothing leading into it,
you're like, I don't know if does this matter? Like, does it matter what I'm doing? Is it reading? Is it registering? So, I think at that time Don was like, just pick one of the tapes. Don't send both. So I was like, thank God. So I only sent the first one, which was funny and light and hilarious.
Yeah.
And like where I landed the beats. So I hear nothing for like a month. I heard like nothing. And then finally she's like, okay, we're going to do a Zoom audition, and it'll just be me and Paul Daniel and Alex Lanati, and we're going to watch you on Zoom. And I was like, okay, all right, I hope this hits. So I beat my face, I pulled my hair up, I put on an outfit that I think says flight attendant, and I rent a room. I rent a room at a voice studio for like $15 for an hour. And I sit up and I'm ready to do this audition. And we get into the audition and she goes, let's do the second one first. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. So I bear down and I do it and it's good. And it is stone cold silence. No one says anything when I finish. And Nan goes, that was hard, huh? And I was like, yeah, it was really hard. And she was like, can you do it again from the middle? And I was like, yeah, of course I can. Give me like 10 seconds to reset my brain. And she's like, sure, of course, take the 10. So take 10 seconds, reset, do it again. And it's different this time. And this time, like, Peaches is tender and she's vulnerable, mostly because, like, I just wept and screamed and cried. And so I had, like, I was already, like, kind of in distress. So the second time, it was more distress and more vulnerability, more softness. Mm-hmm. And then we stopped, and she was like, well, run me through the comedy part now. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can do that. So we jump back in, and we do the laughs. The laughs are funny. It's fine. Stone cold silence across the board. And so I think, well, we'll see what happens. And maybe 2 days later, I got a phone call. It was like, would you like to come be our Peaches? And the answer is yes, 1,000% yes, absolutely. And I was so happy and could not wait to come back. And literally, this has also been its own different kind of dream from doing A Strange Loop, but a dream nonetheless.
Yeah. And how did you discover Peaches? Was it easy, or like was it kind of a glove, or was it? It was easy.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Peaches is such a fascinating. And once again, you didn't get the chance to see this on Broadway, right? You didn't see this one.
No.
It's okay. It's all right. It had a.
No, this is when I was seeing K-pop on Broadway.
Oh, we'll talk about that. We can talk about that because I had a lot of feelings about K-pop on Broadway because I was like, it didn't. It had an off-Broadway run.
It did, and it did really well.
And it did really well. And Broadway is just financially so hard.
Yeah.
And if you have an interactive show like K-pop, which was built to be an interactive show where you go in and you follow the journey of one group, and to its completion as much as you can, and then you go in and you can follow the other. And because it's financially cheaper, you can afford to like take the different journeys without compromising anything. And on Broadway, that structure just it didn't
but
work.
It was so interesting because Ain't No Mo and K-pop were happening like concurrently, and they both kind of had similar things that happened with them, just in terms of marketing. A
wildly successful off-Broadway show did not translate on Broadway.
Yeah, and people that it was meant for weren't seeing it.
Yeah.
In both situations.
In both situations. And like, put a pin there. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
If we'll have time. I'll make time. We'll have time for it. But, God, ask me the question again so my brain can do this.
How easy, I guess, was it to discover Peaches?
Peaches was super easy. Sorry, yeah, that's why. Peaches was super easy to find. Peaches reminded me immediately from the language, and Jordan Cooper wrote a script, and if you get a chance, buy the script. Buy the script. It's available online. He wrote a deceptively casual script that like lends itself to like Shakespearean lyricism sometimes, in that it's vocally dense, verbally dense, but like correctly placed. And when you hit the words as they are written on the page in the correct order at the correct time, they flow. It's like a beautiful, beautiful music almost. Very musical theater-esque in the way that it's cohesive and like weaves the story, as long as you're willing to like be the person who says the words. And Peaches in particular, she curses a lot. And she like, I know her. Like, I just know this woman who curses and like drinks whiskey straight probably, and like can, but also is like lady enough to be soft and be approachable and like deeply maternal. And she was my Nana, who curses like a sailor, and she's my mother, who leads PFLAG from outside of the organization. And she's my aunts, and she just was like a woman that I knew immediately and knew how she would approach this. So I will say Peaches is taking me on a personal journey that's been excruciating because of the journey that happens to her, but not because I don't know her. It's because I know her and I love her.
Yeah.
That makes the journey so hard at the end when we hurt her, when we hurt her, when we damage her. It's because it's like it's what we do to the women in our lives who help us.
Yeah.
And like, ouch.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, Peaches is kind of on her own in the story and going through a very different experience than all the other characters.
Yeah.
But it's obviously a very beautiful journey and an important one to discuss. But something I wanted to ask you about is, like, a quote I love is that art should afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted.
Ooh.
And this show does both.
Yes, it
and
does.
Can you kind of talk about the reactions that people have had to the show and the kinds of conversations you've had with people who maybe didn't understand what the show is about?
Twofold. Once again, it had a very successful off-Broadway run, a 3-week Broadway run. And so we have the kind of good fortune that my Peaches is usually the first Peaches that most of our audience, 98% of our audience has met. This is the version that they know. And for the afflicted, for people who might be hurting, for people who feel othered, for people who feel like they are on the front lines, warning people, helping people, leading people, and are abandoned, I believe it gives the visual of like you're seen. We do honor and appreciate you, and especially the rest of the audience, when you feel the weight of that final moment. I don't think we've had an audience who wasn't stone cold silent at the end of the show. We haven't. They're always stone cold silent. Even after it's over, you've seen a couple shows of it. They're like, even after it's over, no one claps. And it's not because they're not impressed by the work, or not because it's not worthy of applause, but because it's so full. The house is so full of pain for what we've done to a woman that we love, that like, if you can feel it, it's like a palpable feeling. And I do feel like it's a balm for the people who felt like no one sees me, no one sees the effort that I put in, no one sees how I'm just trying to help, no one sees that I'm trying to do the best thing for us, and especially for Black femmes who are frequently left behind. This is a representation of them. This is a representation that they get to be like, yeah, yes, and like, for those who are, I won't say inflictors of pain, but for those of us who are learning empathy in real time, it's their first chance and our first chance to, maybe the next time you bump into a Peaches, not mishandle her and like listen to her. I think about Tarana Burke. I'm always going to talk about her. She was the face of the Me Too movement. She started the Me Too movement before it was co-opted by celebrities. That she was the woman, a Black woman, who said that there is corruption in these industries, and we need to hold men accountable for the pain that they inflict on women. And even now, hers is the name that you'd have to Google. I'd have to, if I don't say it, we will forget her in the histories of time, or in the time that passes. And it's wrong. And it's wrong that we forget those women. It's wrong that we leave them behind. And I hope that Ain't No Mo encourages those of us who are learning empathy later to find it for those women and hear them when they speak, to amplify those voices. And so that's I feel that every time. I feel that so strongly about this piece.
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
Yeah.
And question, do you like peaches?
I love
like
peaches.
Actual fruit. Are you a nectarine person?
Oh
too?
my God, I love peaches. And my grandmother, when I was a kid, had to tell me, do not swallow the seed because you will grow a peach in your stomach. And so I still have fear about that. I was the same way about watermelons, because I would just eat the watermelons and the seeds. So I'm like, why do I just? And she was like, you're gonna grow a fruit inside of your stomach, which.
You're always trying to scare us.
They're always trying to scare us. Your grandparents. But yes, that's, oh God, I love peaches. Peaches are great. That's a great question.
That's thanks to help from my mother too.
Yes.
She was like, you gotta ask. I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, please.
Yes, immediately. And how do you prepare for the show?
Oh my God.
Because I mean, obviously you're doing a lot of like makeup and stuff, and
yes.
like, doing all that stuff, but like, I guess mentally also, just what is the preparation?
There's nothing you can do. Well, as an actor, I try to, after a certain time, if the show starts at 7, at 5, I stop all my like personal business and journeys. Just because for me, it helps me, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Just because for me, it helps me focus. It helps me focus. It helps me think about Peaches, think about what she needs, think about how I feel, check in with my body. Excuse me. I try to warm up. I try to warm up the body and move around a little bit, because it's a very physical role that requires me to move around and move quickly and take up space. And so I do that. But mentally, especially once I get into the dressing room, most of my focus goes to not getting ahead of where I am in the moment, right? Ain't No Mo is a series of vignettes. It's a show that's structured around snapshots in Peach's day, as well as the other characters' points of view of life, right? And Peaches, because I have a linear day that happens, at the top, she's just starting work. It's her first day at work. And so I try to keep that in mind, that it's her first day. And all of the jokes are new to the people in front of me. And so even if I know where the conversation goes, don't get ahead of how that conversation should hit the ear. And so I'm hearing it for the first time like everyone else is, kind of. I'm saying it out of my mouth and I'm going, oh, that's right. Oh, and that's funny. Like, that's a funny thing. Like, what you just said is funny. She would laugh at that. She thinks that's funny. Or she's annoyed. And like, be annoyed. Don't pretend annoyed, but like, be annoyed. And then I leave and I set up for my first day. My first day is beginning. And then I come back out and do a 10-minute monologue. But once again, like, don't get ahead of it. And there are times where I do it and I will intentionally pause as I like collect a line. But it's because on your first day, do you know everything you're supposed to say?
Yeah.
No. You're not gonna know. You're not gonna know. You're gonna be like, oh, that's right. That's right. Right. They told me I have to say this. And then you don't get ahead of it. I try not to plan that either. And then at the end is where the real preparation actually goes. Because before I come out, I don't talk to anyone as I make that journey, because Peaches is alone. Peaches is alone at the end. And like, I don't even touch the rail when I'm coming down the stairs, because there's no one's going to help you. No one's going to take the load away from you. And so just to like help my brain catch it and catch a hold of the moment, it's a sacrifice. And the last thing I say to Peaches before I walk out of the dressing room when I'm looking in the mirror is, this is the only gift I can give you. And like, I love you. And like, I'll do like a gentle reminder that like, you are loved, you are seen. And then I take her on this journey that ends in tragedy. It ends in whatever you think happens, whether it's her death or a sort of death, that ends with the end of Peaches. And like, yeah. And that like, that's the gift that I can give her, is like being honest about about the cost. And like, yeah, that is the preparation that goes into this. It's a lot. Jeez, it's a lot.
Yes, I mean, on top, of everything, it's just, and then it gets, stripped away.
Yes.
At the
yes. Oh my God, me and Don, the first day of rehearsal, we sat down on the floor, right here actually in this room. We sat down on the floor and held hands, and I went, okay, I'm willing to do it. Are you willing to let me do this? And she was like, I don't know. I don't. And she was like, honestly, I don't think that she's like, I think this is too painful. I think it's that we're asking too much, and the audience is going to hate us. And I was like, I know, maybe. Yeah. I was like, I feel like there's some people who are going to be pretty angry with us for this, because they will love Peaches, and we are not going to treat her well. But it's important. It's really important. So yeah.
Yeah. No, it says a lot about, what's going on. Yeah. That does happen, and then it doesn't end in like happiness, I guess, and that it is just so difficult. And if you had the opportunity to leave and start a new life, would you get on the plane?
Knowing what I know about the fact that the bag doesn't come, that's really hard.
It's like an impossible question, but
it's impossible. Also,
I had to ask it.
No. Right now, I'm going to say no. No, I wouldn't leave. I don't want to be transmogrified.
No.
I don't want to be transmogrified. I want to stay me.
Yeah.
But even with everything that's happening in our real lives right now, as much as I would love to bury my head in the sand and pretend like there's not a storm outside and it's not crazy and people aren't aiming to hurt marginalized communities, and everyone. The things that the administration is doing is hurting everyone. I have to be honest and say I'd just rather stay and fight, right? And if anything, maybe because of this show, we have to stay and fight. Like this show has taught me that like this land belongs to all of us equally.
Yeah.
And like, good or bad, whatever you think, like we all deserve to be here and to be seen and to be represented and to be heard and to be treated fairly and equally. And leaving won't solve what's wrong with our nation.
Yeah.
We have to stay and help each other. So
the thing I kept thinking about after leaving and you know, processing everything was how someone said, I think in one of the talkbacks, it might have been Jordan, how like if you have a hyphen or just something that comes before American, whether it be Black American, Asian American, you know, whatever your identity may be, that going back is not, you're not going back. You never belonged like you belong here.
Yeah.
And that
where would you go?
Yeah, it's like, because I mean, for myself, if I went back to, I guess, Taiwan, like, I mean, I love Taiwan. I went for a whole summer, but I don't fluently speak Mandarin. I'm not from Taiwan. I am fully Taiwanese American. And that wouldn't be like solving everything. I would have like a learning curve, but it wouldn't make everything suddenly better.
I went to West Africa. I've been to West Africa. I've traced enough of my roots to like know that enough percentage of my bloodline comes from Ghana to make like a real claim that I could like go back to Ghana. And I have to tell you, I would. There's nothing to go back to, and not because there's nothing there, but because there's nothing that is me there. I don't belong there. This is not home for me. This is an exotic, beautiful destination, not a place to call my own. Everything that is my own is here, is here in this soil. My family, and once again, even as my actual family works to rebuild our family home, it never occurred to us to go to Africa and do it. We're doing it right here in California. We're going to do it right there in California, and we're going to like build up in Altadena. And like that's if anything, that's home. And like no, we belong here, and we should plant our roots and be firm here.
No, and that would not be a fix at all.
No,
clearly.
God. And it doesn't even work out for Peaches, so no, it does not work.
Yeah, definitely not. But can we talk about the easy monologue that you have?
Yes.
Because that was one of my favorite things that I heard you perform. And you know, Peaches says that Black people aren't meant to know the word easy.
Yeah.
And what is your take on the word easy and what that means to you?
Oh, God. Easy means so many things. And Peaches uses it. She uses that word multiple times throughout it. And just for context, that moment where there is a passenger who is about to turn around because he is afraid of the future. He is afraid of what this means. And he says to Peaches, imaginarily, because I'm alone on stage, haha. He says to Peaches, "This isn't easy." And she never said it was easy. And she says that. I never said it was easy. And what it means to me is like, life is not what happens according to your plan. It's just what happens next, right? And nothing is easy as long as you stay alive. And my mother used to say this: you keep living and things will get better. You keep living, things will get worse. But no matter what, you keep living. And like, as a kid, I hated when she would say that. Hated it, because I was like, that's not good or helpful or useful. So you mean I just have to stay alive? And like, now that I'm an adult, I'm like, yeah. Because if you stay alive and you keep trying and you keep putting forth effort, something will happen. Something will happen. Something. Anything. And who knows what the next thing is. And to me, when Peaches gives that easy monologue and she's telling the boy, like, that this, I didn't say it was easy. You just have to stay and try. Like, that is the point. That, like, nothing we do is going to be easy. Staying here in America is not easy, but it's right.
Yeah.
And, like, sometimes you just have to do what's right, even if it's the harder thing. And throughout that monologue, I always get emotional at the end of it, always. And that is real. That is coming from a real place inside of me. That when Peaches says, us leaving this land ain't what's easy, it ain't what's smooth, it's what builds. And it's because, for me, not doing the easy thing, not giving up on yourself, keeping on trying, you're going to build something. You're going to add to your life just by attempting to be better, to get better, to rise above. It's trying. And like, this, the opposite of easy is hard. But like, for me, the opposite of easy is trying, right? That like, you could just let life happen to you, or you like could happen. You could happen, of course. Or you could happen. And that's like, that's it. That's what it is to me.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah. No, and just, I mean, when I put it in perspective of, you know, my own life too, it's just like, things aren't easy, but you just keep going. And
Yes.
like, even being, you and me being in musical theater.
Oh my God.
That's not easy.
That's not easy.
That's not easy at all.
Have you ever seen Every Little Step?
I feel like I have.
Every Little Step is the
or
chorus
at least
line
I've seen
revival
clips, I'm
documentary.
sure.
Yes, there's a moment when they're doing the auditions for at the ballet where one of the girls, like, she sings the final ballet, and she, like, it's beautiful and it's great, and like she sings it, she nails it okay, she's okay at it, and she knows she's okay, and as soon as she stops, she goes, "That's not easy," and literally, yes, that is this moment. Is like, but like, you have to try anyway.
And who said it was going to be easy?
And who said it was going to be easy?
Like,
Yeah.
who told you that high note in At the Ballet was supposed to be easy?
No, it's not easy.
Like,
it's hard.
excuse me?
It's hard. Clearly, it's hard, but yes.
But yeah, just the word easy, I think it means so many things. And especially in this context, it's just, no, it's not easy.
No.
But like, I love when Peaches is talking about, you know, getting transformed into like a white man. Like, you lose all the empathy and things like that, where it's like, for people of color, okay, no, we don't like being mistreated,
No.
clearly.
No.
But we wouldn't want to live another way.
No.
Like, I would never want to give up my own identity for anything else because it means so much.
I spent a lot of time working on this thing. Literally, I handcrafted every inch of who I am. Worked really hard to stake my claim in this life and to be proud of who I am and to do the work and to do the therapy and to like love myself. And like the idea of becoming a privileged white man and losing all of the beauty that is unique to me, I would be really disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, and I'm sure that, I'm sure.
But also, it's like, I guess we don't know another way to live. So
I don't know.
It's like,
I don't know.
This is just
Right?
all we know, and so we wouldn't have it another way.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And yeah, it's just, again, it's such a interesting conversation to have of like all these hypotheticals that
and, like,
Jordan, you know,
he wrote
into
in.
the show.
And it's interesting because, like, even as a privileged white male, what would I do with myself? Where would I go? Do I go
Exactly.
back to Peach's apartment and live? What would I do with that apartment? Do I want to? I'm a privileged white male. Do I have money? What like future questions for the questions for the next phase of life,
Yeah.
which is, what am I supposed to do with any of this? And
Because it's like you won't remember
Yeah.
a lot of who you are as well. But
and so God, yeah, like it's no, hateful, horrible.
yeah, definitely not.
Want to see yourself.
But let's talk a little bit about Miss Bag. This
my
is like a
baby.
silent character that kind of just ties everything together.
Yes.
But what is your relationship to Miss Bag and her role in the show?
Miss Bag is very special, and Jordan, when he came, he talked a little bit about it in his talk back, and he like just confirmed all of my favorite thoughts. Miss Bag is Peaches is alone on stage throughout the show. Peaches is always, it's just Peaches and the audience, except for Miss Bag. Miss Bag to me is her scene partner, and Jordan said it as well. Like, Miss Bag is the other half of Peaches. They are kind of in cahoots. They are together, and she's silent, but she's very much present throughout the show, just like Peaches is. And I love her, and she's my friend. She's maybe my friend. And I think we've done a beautiful job at the end of setting up the idea and the question of, is Miss Bag is she complicit in what happens and in her own removal at the end by the powers that be, or is she taken by the powers that be? And also, if she's taken, does she
want to go?
Does she want to go?
Yeah.
And like, I think the answer, for me at least, is no. Peaches says it to her, like, you're home. And Miss Bag is home. Miss Bag is a part of this land. She has grown from the soil and the roots that Black Americans specifically have put down, not including all of the other tribes of people who have planted roots here and helped develop this land and helped make this country what it is. And so she's home. Why should she leave? She doesn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And so when the powers that be take her, it's such a hard give and take. And the moment after Peaches discovers it, and for me, it's a new discovery every night. It's a new thing every night to turn around and she's gone, is like the most intense pain of betrayal. It's like I feel it as like a physical thing, because it's like finding out that like your best friend is not your best friend, or that your mother's not your mother. That like that you'd be like, no, that can't. I know. What about everything my eyes have seen, everything that my hands have touched, everything that like has ever belonged to me doesn't belong to me? And what do you do with that? And that's Miss Bag quietly gives us all of that texture and questions and things, and like horror. Yeah. It's horror. So yeah.
And in a way, it's like she can't be taken from here, because she is
a part of here.
Everything.
And did no one ask that? Like that's the other thing is like, no one ask? What happens to the things? And like did we just assume that because it's ours and it belongs to us, it would come with us? And also, like that's a great allegory, parable for our real life, right? That you create something, you create art, we create a show, and the show doesn't really belong to us. It belongs to the audience. And that like, it belongs to the audience. I spent weeks crafting Peaches, and nothing I do on that stage really belongs to me, because at the end of the day, you take it, you take her, and what you see is what she was. And like that's like a fascinating thing to like hear what other people found in her, what other people took from her, what other people went home and talked about with their families about her. And I'm like, oh my God, that's right, because she's like she's mine, but then like I give her to the people.
Yeah, and it's how, you know, with a lot of communities of color, like we've shared so much of our culture with other people, and maybe having it taken from us in some ways.
Oh no, even when it's not taken, we could talk about, was it ray gun? Kangaroo hopping and doing breakdancing at the Olympics that will now not happen anymore because she was so terrible that they were like, oh no, we just won't, that's not an Olympic category any longer.
No, but it's just like the amount of like, it's kind of appropriation and appreciation that turns into appropriation with a lot of things that happens with, you know, maybe white Americans and Black culture.
And what is the line there?
Yeah, and it's like, or white Americans with Asian culture that we've seen a lot recently.
Yes.
But it's like all these things are so integrated now that doesn't just belong to us, and there's nothing we can really do about it.
And there's nothing, and it's
so you can't take it because it's still in other people.
It's like a fascinating thing to actually watch unfold. Like it's a fascinating thing to watch unfold. TikTok. I'm gonna say rest in peace, even though it's not really dead. I don't trust her anymore. But that's another story. Never mind. Anyway, yes, that community that I built on that platform and that I was like really excited about. One of the things that I discovered is how much bleeding between cultures happens, and like there's a beauty to what happens when the synergy of different people coming together happens, and like you still want to honor the people who made it possible and honor the people who came at the front, but like what is the line between appreciating something and appropriating something? And like speaking of K-pop, I love Cat's Eye.
Oh my gosh.
Don't judge me.
Love cat's
I
eye.
love cat's eye. And what I did, one of the conversations that came up, because if you didn't watch the documentary on Netflix, which is amazing.
I watched like at least one of the episodes.
You should watch it.
I didn't watch the whole thing yet.
You should watch it. You should watch it. It's great. But someone was like, well, they're not really K-pop. They're not really a K-pop group.
Yeah.
They're really like world pop.
It's global, yeah.
It's global.
Yeah.
And I was like, I appreciate that, but also the roots of it
It's
very much K-pop.
But then also Korean people have borrowed from Black culture as well.
So much.
Because of rapping and all this stuff. It's like there's so much bleeding that's still going on.
There's so much bleeding between those cultures that like is beautiful and it's merging, and like I just hope that we all continue to honor the original forms, like honor the original forms. That like even if they are global pop, they're still like a K-pop.
The style,
The style that they're doing, the way that they were brought together, the boot camp that they had to go through, all of it that's K-pop, baby. Those are the roots.
Yeah.
And so I will not dishonor the K-pop origin of that band. I'm sorry, they just are.
Yeah.
It's just,
no, but
whatever.
it's just America is such a, I guess people always call it a melting pot of just so many different things, and so it's like everything kind of belongs to different things now.
Yeah.
And what a interesting thing that is to think about, and where is the line? I don't know if it really exists.
No.
Because it is such a nuanced conversation. But going back to Ain't No Mo, what is like the one message you hope that people take from the show?
This is gonna sound really funny based on how the show ends. I actually hope that people take away the hope and resilience of the disenfranchised communities amongst us. That I believe in my heart that no matter what happens over the next 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, 20 years, that we've been set back before. We've been marginalized before. Our parents, our grandparents have experienced worse. And as much as some people love to say, I'm not my grandparents, and like it's a funny thing, we are our grandparents.
Yeah.
We are our grandparents, and they were strong, and they survived. And all of us who are here today are proof that someone held out hope for the future, that somebody believed enough to create more life and in the beauty of the life that they were living, that they wanted that to continue. And like, I hope that people leave and protect the embers of that hope, and they protect the resilience that is what Peaches represents, the strength of personage and the strength of identity, and cherishes the minorities and the femmes and blacks and and Asians and Spanish and all of the cultures, and our white liberals and our white liberals, our white leftists, our everyone who is at the front of these movements, hoping for change and hoping for better and wanting to include and uplift each other. That is what I want us to walk away with, that we preserve them, that we protect ourselves and we protect them, and that we have hope that like this is just a moment, and that if you keep living, things will get better.
Yeah.
And like that's the hope.
Well, Evey, it's been so much fun getting to chat
so
with
much,
you.
Ashley.
Is there anything else you want to just say real quick?
I don't know. Follow me on Instagram. It's a thing. Follow me on Instagram. And yeah, that's it. Oh my God.
Come see the show, please.
Come see the show. Yes.
You have one more week. And just thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you so much, Ashley. This has been real fun.
And thank you all for listening. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye. You've been listening to Broadway Corner with Ashley Haw. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.